3, 2, 1. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, the problem we have with their side of the House is that you make it more difficult to be able to determine the utility of a particular individual in that institution. Meaning, as what Jaren mentioned, regardless of that institution being secular or not, being for-profit or not, the metric is very simple. It should be based on your ability to be able to contribute back into that organization as the basis for you to be able to get promoted. It's precisely because of those arbitrary stuff like nepotism and vibes and stuff, which we do recognize to be potentially happening, but that becomes even more vague, the point in which you make a dangerous assumption that just because someone made the commitment and paid money to be able to study overseas for 3 to 6 years is exactly wherein they're more deserving as opposed to someone who stayed home and continued working. My response to the previous speaker is that if Niel gave 20% output and Lando gave 50%, it's fucking simple. We're gonna promote Lando because he's more efficient as a worker. And that utilitarian and capitalist metric is exactly what allows an institution to be able to reach its goals. Is it mean? Is it bad? Is it against minorities? Is it against those who are incapable? Absolutely. But that's exactly where we need to be able to put the pressure to allow people to be able to compete and be able to be of utility to that particular institution. Because again, whether that institution be a business, a charity, an NGO, or any form of institution we have, civil or secular, is exactly wherein they still have interests to be able to allow people to do their thing. But before that, sure, POI, go for it.
Yeah, so how do employers determine level of output?
That's a good question. I think there are super many metrics they can use. Number one is monthly and yearly targets, meaning they're going to understand your capabilities and capacities versus what you do. They often have 360-degree feedback sessions to be able to get both qualitative and quantitative metrics when they interview those who are same level as you, they interview those above you, they interview those below you, so that they can have a full picture of you. That's exactly how it works in a lot of these institutions, so that they can be able to determine it. I understand it's not as simple as have a degree or not. I get what you're saying, gang. You're saying that we need to be able to have an objective metric, but we think your ability to contribute in and of itself is an objective metric. But of course, HR's not dumb, right? They also understand the nuances, oh fuck, this guy's mom died and he got sick. He took leaves. He wasn't able to hit his target. That doesn't mean we're gonna fuck him up right away. There are nuances, and that's why you have an entire HR function whose sole job is to be able to acquire the best talent, place the best talent, and be able to retain that particular talent. What is my extension? Other responses will be integrated. My extension is on the consequence of the premium and the effect this has on institutional promotion on 2 levels. One, on the level of the institution as a firm and as a business, and 2, on the level of the people working there, these people who of course want to be able to get promoted, to be able to have a better quality of life. First layer of analysis. How does this affect the firm as a collective institution? It can particularly lead to the mass exodus of middle management people filing sabbatical or using up all of their leaves and perks to be able to take this commitment abroad and be able to borrow money to be able to have the firm pay for it. Because of the POI to my partner was that it's a show of commitment that takes kind of long. Yeah, bro, that's exactly which we want to challenge. Just because you're committed to the firm, because you get bonded to them by a contract, because you borrow money and stay there, okay, you stay there for 6 to 10 years, the time in which it takes on average to be able to do your particular job and still stay there. But isn't that better used if you're working back in the firm? Again, I'm not saying it's about get a master's or doctorate or not, but the lens in which you promote people just because they took a sabbatical doesn't particularly make sense. Because that person becomes unproductive to the company on average of 3 to 6 years, the time it takes to be able to complete a master's or a doctorate. Heck, some dissertations even take a whopping 8 years. Meaning, if that's the sole metric in which people use to be able to get promoted, it's exactly the point in which middle management, 3 or 5 years within their career, start fucking off and getting sabbatical and doing that because of a false promise or a potential idea that they could be promoted. But that's exactly the crack in opposition's or their side of the house's case, because just particularly if there's a promise, doesn't mean you'll get promoted. Meaning you take on so much debt, take so much time. But like hell, if both Lando and Niel both leave to be able to get that particular degree, then who are we going to get back? Meaning, if everyone starts getting it, how do you then determine it? Simple. The thing I told you earlier, meritocratic base that skirts all of that. Sure, POI. I'll take another one.
Yeah, so I mean, companies already finance post-baccalaureate degrees and they expect some sort of like return of investment. So even on the lens from the company after promoting these people, like they are still willing for as long as there's return of investment, which is happening in Transco.
Yeah, but like we understand that it's not about leaving or not. It's not about accessibility in itself or not. But the nuance is, why should this be the primary means in terms of being able to promote you, right? Meaning, if you have a middle management supervisory person who busted her ass for like 8 years, the time in which you were like doing something abroad, we rather promote that person because they were probably more committed to the organization, they were probably more proximate to the particular goals of that thing. Meaning, it should be meritocratic based and solely based on your ability to contribute. On our side, yeah, we can filter, we can maybe give you some credit if you have some advanced education you're giving back. But in terms of it being like the primary metric, hence the part of the motion we disagree with the premium, is exactly where we have a problem with it. Second part, how does this affect the individual person? It affects the individual person because it now confuses depth of learning and value created. Meaning, we understand what they said about human knowledge being important, but the point in which you put a premium on the knowledge undermines the interest of the institution. Because guys, not all of these institutions are fucking schools. Some of them are NGOs, businesses, charities, things that help racial, disenfranchised minorities. And the interest of that should be based on your ability to contribute back and not just how smart you are, how capable you are. In fact, that is particularly what we're against when they start confusing merit based on what you know, which is exactly what motivates our side of the house. Just because you have a PhD or master's doesn't mean you're smarter, you're better, or you're more capable than someone who hasn't. And for all of these reasons, we're very proud to stand on side affirmative. Thank you.